Anything you don't want to talk about?
Okay.
Did you start it yet?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
Let's do it. Anything?
I don't want to bring up anybody's names.
Hey, Brandon Simmons here with REI Mastermind. I am with Dave Goodmanson, my awesome co-host, and we're interviewing Brad Mortensen today. So, Brad, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
No problem.
And we're doing this live right now, but we're going to be recording this and putting it out on a podcast. So we are broadcasting this live over social media and stuff like that. So if there's any questions that come up from anyone that's watching this, that has questions for Brad, that has questions for any of us, Dave Goodmanson or myself, feel free to post it, and hopefully we'll be able to read them, because I am using a StreamYard to live stream on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, everything like that. So it's going on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube at the same time. So so just what we like to start out with is just tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get started in real estate?
Okay.
Well,
yeah, so my background, I was a business banker. That's kind of how I started, right? So I was a business banker. I spoke Spanish and English, right? And so it kind of helped me get into more of a construction world, where I was able to help structure, new upcoming companies. So I did a lot of entity structure and cash flow analysis, stuff like that at the bank, which led me into becoming a financial advisor. And what I did as a financial advisor for several years was manage 401k plans and then sell kind of ancillary work off of that, like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, IRA rollovers, all that stuff. And then that I went to a seminar, one of those little 2-day events. I went to one of those.
Was it the free one that's not so free at the end?
Yeah, that's right. It was not so free. So I went
they charge you.
I drove the firm I worked for as a financial advisor. So I had my securities licenses, all that.
Okay.
They've since expired, but I would drive to Scottsdale every day, right? So I drive to Scottsdale, a long ride there. I was listening to a radio show host, right? And so they said, hey, you got this free event coming up. And, at the event, they've got I come to find out later, he's a motivational speaker, right? But anyway, so I go to that and determine, I could probably get my investors a little better return through real estate, even though I don't know anything about real estate. And that was about 5 years ago. I submitted what's called your OBA, it's your outside business activity, to my broker dealer, as a licensed sales rep anyways. And they're like, yeah, we can't approve this. You can't raise money for your real estate and not put them into, our annuity products or whatever, we were selling. And so I said, you know what? I'm just going to go. And if it doesn't work, I'll come back. And I haven't gone back. So went straight into flipping.
Well, that's what, just to piggyback off of that, I think what you're going to find is a lot of times, people when they're at their jobs, I had a buddy of mine, this is years ago, and he wanted to start his own firm. He was in accounting. And I asked him, I said, what's the worst that's going to happen is, if you had to go back to your current employer, would they take you? And 9 out of 10 times, it's usually, yes. So, and that's what's great is, you have the opportunity to roll the dice, and worst comes to worst, you go back there. But I think it's encouraging for others that are on the fence about what to do.
That's what happened for me when I went to work for Sean Terry before I quit the mortgage world, because I was in the mortgage world too, or banking, I guess. But I started off in banking, then mortgages. But then when I went to go do wholesaling full time, the people that I left, they're really cool and said, hey, if it doesn't work out, you always have a job back here.
Yeah. So keep the door open. Don't burn any bridges. Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah. So, you have a 2-year expiry date on your licenses. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll find out in 2 years.
Sink or swim, baby.
So I was able to leave and, was able to take some investors.
And that was you said 5 years ago?
Yeah, that was 5 years ago.
Okay.
So at the end of 2014, I kind of just transitioned out. 2015 started,
And it's a good time to get, the market was pretty good. It wasn't, it was terrible in 08 to 9. And then, but that was probably the perfect time where money was looser, deals were able to be bought. I don't think you could have hit any better.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I guess my first real estate deal though was in 2011.
Okay.
I had to convince my wife 3 times. We went to this short sale house and it was terrible. It had 3 families living in one house, smelled like burritos. And so I was there and we went back there 3 times and finally did it. And, we bought a house 4-bed, 2-bath house in Queen Creek for $95,000.
Oh, you're kidding! Wow. Yeah. And go ahead and tell the listeners what a short sale is. I mean, is it a midget selling a house or what?
Little person. That's politically incorrect. Little person.
Yeah. So right now we.
Wait, hold on. Let's just. How tall are you?
I barely. Yeah. So what's a short sale? What's the definition of a short sale?
Yeah. So a short sale, just somebody that has they want to sell their house, but they owe more than what they can get for it.
Okay. So the bank.
So either sometimes they're behind on payments, or they just want to get out of it for whatever reason, and they owe the bank more than what they can sell for, and so you negotiate with the bank to take a short, right?
Okay.
So like when you
discounted payoff.
Selling short of the full balance.
And it was Santan, Queen Creek.
Queen Creek.
And what's interesting is if you look back at majority of like Queen Creek and Santan, the whole town, the majority of the town is built at the peak of the market, and everybody financed their stuff. And this thing was probably trading for probably 3 times that back in the heyday, 05, 06.
Yep.
And it's interesting in how just,
So little backstory here is I moved to Arizona. I found Dave as my realtor. He was helping me find the homes. And we were looking at Queen Creek and Santan and stuff at first. Because I'm like, oh, wow, these are super cheap. Yeah. And I didn't realize that you had to drive like an hour to get into town. But,
Yeah. So cool. Okay. So short sale, that was you said 2011?
2011. So we lived in it for several years, and then we moved to Gilbert.
Okay.
A few years back.
Okay.
I rented it out for 2.5 years. Okay. And then to take advantage of the Homestead Act.
Oh, tax-free, baby. I love it.
I sold it for $250.
Nice.
And
so and we can't give tax advice, legal advice, and all that stuff. But if you own it for 2 years or more,
$8,000.
2 out of the last 5.
2 out of the last 5. If you're single, it's $250. If you're married, it's $500,000. Tax free.
Oh, okay. But I thought you were talking about what was the bonus that you had when you bought a house in 2010 or something like that?
No, that was the first time home buyer tax credit. You got one of those bad boys. That's sweet. That was what, $7,500?
Yeah, it's like $8,000, I think.
But sold it tax free, which is incredible. Yeah. I mean, if you had, it'd be tough to do with kids in school and so. But how cool would it be in theory to bounce every 2 years and just jump to
house hacking?
That would be awesome.
Get some brave buyers, right? And so.
Oh yeah. So so you bought that in 2011, and then. Okay, what after that? So
then that story unfolds. We kind of get into flipping houses. I raised some money, but I knew nothing really about real estate. I had an agent that represented me when I bought that house that we rented out for a couple of years, and so I had to find somebody to project manage, and also somebody to find and analyze deals for us, because I didn't know that side. I knew more business structure.
Yeah.
Right, and leveraging other people's money.
Sure.
And so. I stuck to my strong suit and partnered up. I had two business partners when we started, narrowed that down to 1, and we kind of just went off to the races. We ended up, in the first month, I told him, hey, I have this much money available. Can you go find houses?
Okay.
And he locked up, 3-4 deals in the first month.
Wow.
And
that was 14, right? 2014?
2015.
15, okay.
Yep.
And then, so how did you guys tell us about the first one? How did you guys find it? What were the numbers on it?
And you guys were mainly fix and flipping.
Mainly fix and flip. So we didn't do anything direct to seller. So this one, the first few that we bought were off the MLS.
Okay. And you could back then. I mean, you could get some pretty good deals, man. Yeah.
Even now,
right.
I'm sure we'll talk about. But the MLS worked, and buying at auction worked. And so we bought from hubzoo.com.
Oh yeah.
And they always had the same digit code. I don't know if you ever bought a Hubzoo house.
Oh, the same code. Remember on all the doors.
All the combos. Those things.
All the REO managers used a lot of the same codes.
I don't know how many of those I collected, because they're this long, and they changed the deadbolt out in the front of the house, and you just go put in the code. But we can't use it afterwards, and so we just take them out, and they leave them there. And once you buy it, they're yours. So we bought Hubzoo, and the very first flip I did was more of a learning experience than a profitable experience.
Okay.
We still profited, but I mean.
But you learned a lot.
I learned more than.
And how much money has that knowledge made you? I mean, that's what you have to look at. It's made you fortunes.
That's why a lot of people get frustrated when they lose or they don't feel like they should win.
I know people won't think twice about signing up and paying a ton of money for tuition in universities,
taking on student loans.
Yeah, taking on student loans, but yeah, and then a lot of times, I mean, you gotta, sometimes.
So what did you learn on that house?
Well, I mean, so we learned not to overdo it, right? So we'd gone into this and watched some HGTV shows, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to move this wall, and I'm going to take out this flooring, and I'm going to fill in this sunken living room.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do it with
like the waterfall showers in a 2-bedroom house,
Yeah. So this one was in Scottsdale, like right where I used to work. Right? Okay. So I was familiar with the area. We're talking like Scottsdale Road and 64. Right? So it was Greenway. Okay. And so it was a nice area. And we probably should have waited out. So not only did I overspend, which I think happens on almost every deal that I'm going to.
Yeah.
But it took a little bit longer. Yeah. And then I was so stressed about paying my hard money lender. And it was my first deal, right? So paying my hard money lender, the first offer that came in, it was so low, it was a little bit lower. I was like, you know what? I'm still making money on this. Yeah. Let's just get out of it. Yeah. So I said,
exit.
Sign it. So what's crazy is that house, so I sold it for, I can't remember what we bought it for. We probably put about $80,000 into it.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's that's a good.
So I mean, you guys must have just redid kitchens, bathrooms, the tub surrounds. I mean,
we moved walls. We filled in the sunken living room. There was a whole pool renovation that had to happen, and so we did a lot of. And then had solar on. I mean, like everything you don't want to do anymore. Like buy with solar, buy with the pool. Like you learn these things from buying that. So we put a bunch into it. Sold it in Scottsdale. You're talking like close to the Scottsdale quarter, right?
Okay.
For $380.
Oh wow!
Wow.
What could I say? If I would have held on to that?
Oh yeah, buy that second back. Yeah.
I would have bought it now for $380 and flipped it again. It's crazy.
Twice over.
2015.
Jeez. So you started out doing the fix and flip. How many years did you and your partner do that?
So we. Every year so we did that for 3 years, and it was just straight fix and flip. We didn't do any really direct selling marketing. We dabbled, which wasn't successful.
And how are you buying these homes?
All auction.
Oh wow!
And your money or?
So we leveraged it. So we raised a lot of private money.
Okay.
That was able to cover our gap, which was the difference between what our hard money lender would give us and the down payment plus renovation costs. Okay. And so we would, we'd have them come up with the 80%, and then private money would come in for the 20% down and rehab costs.
So you get 80% LTV loan value on the first with a private, like a hard money lender. Okay. Okay.
So established a couple of relationships there and got good rates, terms, and felt it comfortable.
What kind of? I mean, were they charging points or just straight interest only?
We were interest only. There were no points.
Nice.
And we were 12%.
Which is
when we started out.
Really good.
Yeah, everybody else was paying 18%.
Oh yeah,
especially back at that time.
Oh yeah,
Money's gotten cheaper now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, that's really good terms. That's really good terms. So
and they just.
And they probably developed a relationship with them where you picked up the phone and they knew, okay, hey, we got another deal. All right, yeah, we can do it.
And we knew they could close. You're comfortable with doing 1 or 2 deals. You go to auction steps and you're closing next day. So they're.
And let's talk about that. So did you guys bid it yourself or did you have a bidding service?
We use a bidding service. Okay. And we found that at the auction it was a game. It's a chess game.
It's a good old boys.
You talk about let's talk on that for a little bit. Yeah, right? So you got one person there, and if they represent 20 different people. Yeah. If all 20 people were there at the auction steps, that price would get bid up. Yeah. So there's a pre-auction auction that happens that most people don't know about.
Oh wow!
With these bidders, because all 20 of us go to this one guy, right, and we say, here's our highest and best. Yeah. If I'm the highest and best on that property, I just eliminated 19 people from going to the auction.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And so by not using a proxy, you kind of eliminate. And you're not doing the best of you.
How was it? 2,000, 2,500. What was the?
Yeah, 15 to 1,500 to 2,000.
Okay, which is pretty good. Yeah, because I've
Okay.
seen them.
Did you know, like, if the pre-auction auction, did you know what the highest bid was from the group, or did
Yeah, for
Okay.
the most part. So one of them was easybidder.com. They
Yeah.
used, and they do it online, and so you would see, you're not the highest. And so there was an auction online before the auction happened.
Like the silent auction? Interesting.
And then the other one that we would use in Pinal County, they didn't have that. They didn't do an online. It was texting them and letting them know. And they'd say, I have 3 others that are higher than you. Okay, that's the highest I can go.
Okay.
Or, okay, I'll go this high.
Okay.
And if they get it $1 over asking, but everybody else would have bid it up to my full asking price, I win. Right? So, we use a proxy every time.
And they would do that. You would get the copy of the TSG, the prelim title report, the trustee sales
so
guarantee.
they do a drive-by report.
Yeah.
That would include a title check and
which is huge, because a lot of times imagine if you're going solo to one of these things, and in order to bid, it was 10 grand certified funds.
Especially for the beginners. Break it down for some of the beginners watching. So we're doing auctions. You have to bring cash to the table before you even can bid, right?
You're not even getting, you're not getting, a lot of times, I mean, they probably have connections where they'll get the title report for you. And were they able to bind any kind of title insurance for you?
Not usually. It's a quick, I don't know what the title companies refer to it now, but it's just a quick title pull.
Yeah, no, they call they used to call it the TSG, the trustee sales guarantee.
Title search.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of times, I mean, because you'd bid on these things, and then you wouldn't even be able to get inside until after you won the bid. So you'd give the 10 grand, and then you go in, and then you find out, you can find out that the foundation's failing, that this is going on, that's going on,
afterwards.
It's got this or that, and either you have to walk from your 10, but then you're pretty much, going to be screwed.
Now
not being able to bid again.
Going through the proxy, do you have to give them the 10,000 up front?
No. Most of the time, if you build a relationship and they know that you're going to close. Now the first one, they were, they're a little leery about you closing, and so we went to the courthouse steps mainly you build relationships there. There are some people that are there. Most of them are tire kickers. The people that are really buying deals are doing it through the guys in the back on their computer saying, I got one higher. Hey, can you go up 5,000?
Wow.
So you build relationships there. So we went and looked at the process, and once, if you show a track record, which we'd shown, we bought some properties from the MLS. Here's my hard money lender. Here's how I plan on funding it. So you do your due diligence and show credibility to them. Then you don't have to come up.
Then they trust you. Yeah.
They trust that you're going to give them the $12,000 the next day, $10,000 that they'll put down for you, and then
the 2,000 fee for the cost. And, what's interesting is a lot of times if the guy, people have been doing real estate for just the last couple of years.
Right.
I mean, like when the market's hot, not a whole lot goes to sale, trustee sale, foreclosure sale.
Yeah.
But when the market's not so hot, I mean, you'll see, and that's why I think it's important to be able to adapt your business depending on the business climate.
You got to think about the time of the market, right?
Yeah.
The market cycles at that time. There was a tidal wave of deals. Or tidal wave of
and more so
not necessarily deals, but just houses
9, 10, 11, 12, and then 15. When did it start drying up for you at the sales? Did you notice?
Where really they would just start. They were
getting
paying,
into where it got.
We could only pay 80% in order to make profit, and so when they started selling at 88, 90%, 95%, like that was 2018. I don't think we've bought since then from the auction.
Because I mean, you look at the risk versus the reward, and it's like, okay, no, you're really not, it's not like a normal deal. You're getting title insurance. You have an inspection period usually, unless you're
you don't get into any of these houses.
You
do the due diligence the night before. 10 a.m. You send the text like
you're peeking through the windows and praying somebody's not in there. You're changing when you're looking in.
They have a gun.
Yeah. So, but but it's a different kind of animal, And I think you have to have nerves of steel to be able to bid at those auctions, because I mean, once you get it, you got it.
So tell me a good story, like a worst, tell me a house that's just like you walked in, like, what did I do? How did I get myself into this?
Well, I was just thinking while you were talking about guns and like people in the houses, I'll tell that story because that one.
Yeah.
That was an auction property, right? And there's people living in the house.
Oh, so now you got to evict them or something.
Oh yeah. Yep. So prior, pretty much with the drive-by report, you can tell, people are living there. Okay, I'm gonna have to budget this much to either pay them to get out, which is the easy way,
keys,
cash for keys, or I'm gonna have to pay the constable to come get them out. So this one ended up being a constable that, where we have to formally evict them. Yeah. Not even, just we have to kick them out.
Yeah.
And so you got to go through the whole 5-day notice, and then you go there with the constable. And, so we show up there. This is the first time that we had done, because everybody else is usually like, we show up, knock at the door, say, hey, how much? What can we do to get you out? I'm going to either pay the courts and the constable $2,000 to get you out, or I can give you that money to move get out. So which one do you want? We can do this. We can do this
the hard way.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at her way or the hard way.
So what do you want? And most people, they're fine. They're cool about it. They know kind of where they're at. Yeah. These ones were not. They slammed the door on us. They said,
because they're probably the actual homeowners that lost it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So emotional.
Yeah. They're emotional about it, and this was in Santan Valley.
Okay.
And so we get there with the constable, and we're like, you know what? This is the first time. We're gonna just go. They said that we had to be there. First of all, they said they wanted the owner to be there just in case.
For the lockout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So they said we want you to be there. So the constable comes up. Constable is like a retired deputy, right? So
he's not trained in jujitsu or anything, dude.
And he's ready to roll. Yeah.
No. So
does he have a firearm at least?
He did. Yeah. Okay. Find out later he did, but so he goes up there, knocks, and comes back and says, hey, they're not letting me in. They're not gonna. I'm gonna have to call the sheriff, right? To bring the sheriff down here.
Interesting.
And I'm gonna need backup. Much
Jeez.
Yeah. So we're like, okay, we'll just kind of wait. And so 2 deputies come up with the constable. They go up to the house. They get in through the front door, and some of them were resisting the arrest, and so they had to arrest the wife, and there was the husband, and one other Hispanic dude that was there in the house.
Okay.
And while they are cuffing the wife on the ground, there's a guy standing up here in the stairs, and the constable's at the front door right here. One's cuffing them, and then the other deputy is right over in this corner. This guy on the stairs pulls a gun to shoot the cop that was arresting his wife, and the gun jams. The gun jams.
Whoa.
Does not fire.
He did try to fire, though.
Yep. And the constable, this old dude, comes running out. Shots fired! Shots fired! Officer down! And we're like, what? Back up the car.
Get there.
Yeah. So we call, and like within 5 minutes,
it's just probably swarmed it. Yeah.
Swarmed the house, and I guess what had happened is they tell that story. All right, he went to shoot. No shots were fired. Nobody was hurt. The Hispanic dude had tried pulling a knife on the other cop. He got him down.
Whoa.
And the lady on the ground obviously was cuffed, and they tackled the guy on the stairs. And so nobody was hurt.
Yeah, but he tried to shoot.
That's insane. Tried to shoot. And so, both of them end up in prison. Well, all 3 of them.
Good thing it was them and not you at the door too.
Yeah. If they're not willing to deal, like, it's not worth.
Yeah, you're not going to put.
Don't put yourself in that situation.
Seriously, that's insane.
All over the news, and just like, and they come to find out he was running a cult type business and drugs out of the house, and it was people came back in after the fact and were speakers were busted open and like gone. Even though he's in prison, there's somebody coming and picked up.
That's insane.
So the cops took a bag of firearms and some drugs, but they leave all the glass and other stuff behind it. They're like, we have no use for this. What am I supposed to do with this? Like,
jeez,
so,
that's a scary one.
Insane.
So you backed up the car. I would be like out of there.
Oh, we floored the truck backwards. We're like, all right, this constable comes out, with this little revolver pistol.
It's like Barney Fife.
Shooter, man, little 38.
He like,
so I mean,
shaking probably.
He should have shot. He probably should have, taken the, but he ran. He fled back. He was like, wow, I'm too old to do this.
Probably, yeah.
He's like, this is volunteer work. I don't get paid for this.
So,
he probably does get a little pay. I don't know.
Yeah, but they're usually the process is they go there, they change the locks. The people are just sitting there, and then they're like, hey, you have 10 minutes to go. You got 10 minutes to get your junk out. But that's usually the extent of it. I've had one not as crazy as that, but where they had to call back up and haul the person off to jail and stuff. But yeah, it's trustee sales stuff is not for the weak of heart, man. I mean, you don't know what you're gonna get behind, door number 1.
That's a That's one of those
I mean,
reality
we
TV shows.
made 30,000 on that flip. So
Make it rain, baby. I love it. I love it.
So
And you got a cool story to boot, man. That's it. I mean, did you remember that for the rest of your life?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's
And then you'll be able to warn anyone getting into it. By the way, be careful.
Yeah.
Just pay the professionals.
and the war stories are fun once they've passed, but when you're in the middle of it, it's and then you probably had to look over your shoulder a lot with that house because you don't know when people are coming back. They're going to destroy it, going to tear out. You know, you put it in one day and the prey doesn't walk off the next day. So,
but see, also you got to understand we have more technology now where we can throw in cameras in houses now and alarm systems a lot easier and stuff where everything was hardwired.
There you just put up a danger dogs. I mean, warning dogs, and that was it.
You get it by a sticker and put it on the front window.
Exactly.
I know someone that bought one of those Rottweilers that's motion activated, a one that you put by the front door.
A robotic puppy.
The robot, and basically it would growl and bark.
How funny.
Well, on speakers. It was made for a motion detector for a house. Yeah. And the security doors in Arizona, you can't see in very well. So they're oh my gosh, is there someone out there? So that's a crazy one. Now, now you've been transitioning to doing your business this last year was half and half, basically half wholesaling, half fix and flip. Is that right?
Yeah. So my business partner that I originally started with did more of the acquisition and project management.
Okay.
We separated at the end of 2018, just different. It was amicable.
Yeah.
We just went different ways. But I didn't want to deal with project managing that many. We were doing 30 flips at a time.
Wow. At a time?
At a time.
Oh,
so 30 houses at a time. To run that, you got to have 5-6 GCs. General contractors running their subs.
Wow.
You're babysitting every single one of them.
Yeah.
And so we just had some problem properties that were in our pipeline that needed to be fixed. And so I had to.
Everything went on schedule?
No.
Yeah. Everything was under budget?
Yeah. That's right. Everything was
in theory,
puppies and rainbows. So it did not go that way, right?
Yeah.
And so I just kind of I read the book Traction.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of 2018, mid 2018, set my core values, reset my whys. What's my purpose? Why am I doing all this? And is this worth my mental bandwidth?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Babysitting contractors and as much, and ultimately was not what I wanted to. I love real estate. I love the game.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that side of it, but I wanted to reduce the active income, meaning project management side. Yeah. So 2018, I restructured those goals, and we had that separation. So it's kind of a good time to kind of restructure the company. And so I wanted to go more wholesaling, which was kind of just taking a little bit and leaving it to another flipper that wants to do 5 deals a year, something like that.
And on the wholesaling end, how would you assign a double escrow? What would you typically do?
We would typically assign.
Okay.
We weren't taking huge assignment fees, but what I learned is that, and I knew it just from going to meetups, masterminds.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different business model, right? So versus buying an auction, you're project manager, right? You're in construction business.
Yeah. You're going to drive by the house every day and check on what's going on, stuff like that.
But now you go into sales and marketing. Yeah. Right. You're a data company, right? Yeah. You're buying data, you're sourcing that, and then you're figuring out how to market to those sellers. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to buy data to find out who's buying, and then you're going to market to those buyers and keep them
marketing.
So you become a marketing company, and I knew enough to do well, but it wasn't I wasn't ready for all that. Have to have the systems in place. How are you going to manage all the data? How are you going to make sure you don't double skip trace a list? Mm-hmm. How do you manage that side of it? So that was a different beast. So we still did flips last year, or in 2019. Okay. But we did about 50% wholesale. Okay. So it was a lot less stressful, less flips. I spent a lot more time with my family. Yeah. Which is important to me. That was my reason when I go back through what's important.
Yeah, that's what we talked about last year. I remember me and you, we sat down last year, a couple months ago, and one of the biggest things I think we both aligned ourselves on. We just don't want to work ourselves to death.
Yeah.
We want to. I mean, you were doing coaching too, right? For high school.
Oh yes, yeah.
Sorry, not real estate,
Yeah.
but like for fun, you like to do volunteer work and stuff like that too.
Volunteer work. So I volunteer in a church, right? And and I love working with the youth, right? And so I did coach high school football.
Oh, fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, early mornings.
Yeah, early mornings.
Yeah.
And you're 20 hours a week.
Wow. Which is a big commitment. I mean, that's
a big commitment.
Part-time job.
Yeah.
Without pay, right? So, I mean, the pay is like what you get out of it. Some of the reasons that you coach, right? Is how people get to that next level.
Right.
And I think the youth are saying that a lot, but pushing along.
Yeah. And I think if you break down even making money, I mean, is there anything says that we have to spend 80 hours to do it? I mean, if you can get X amount of money coming in every month.
Right. I love this. He always runs this scenario by me because this is something that he's drilled into my head is, if you can do the same job, let's say you get paid for something for, like, say, $40 an hour, right? But if you find a couple people that can do it and you pay out $15 an hour for that, and you can pocket that, why would anyone be mad at you for getting the same work done, same production done, right?
And that's what, absolutely, because it's just like, you have a certain amount of, all of us, if someone's going to work 50 weeks in a year, say you take 2 weeks off, it's going to be more than that. But it's just easy math with 50. And then if you're going to work 40 hours a week, that's 2,000 hours. But then what you try to do is once you start building the processes, I remember when I was able to make a shift in my business where I listed every task involved with anything I was doing.
I remember the spreadsheet you shared with me. Yeah.
I'm a big spreadsheet.
This is good because I think of Dave as like the efficient investor. And now what's interesting is Brad's doing a lot of the same stuff too. So this is going to be fun. I'm going to sit back and watch the fireworks go.
So I made a list of everything, and then you start breaking it down. Is it skilled labor? Is it semi-skilled, or is it just entry level stuff? And then you attach a monetary value to each, and then it's like, okay, that's maybe skilled labor might be $50 an hour. Like maybe highly skilled, like, maybe not
like a plumber, electrician.
Exactly. Like, and then you have maybe administrative, semi-skilled, which could be 25. And then you have just, I mean, in this market in the US, it's tough to get anything under 15. So you can even say 50, 25, 15. And then once you go overseas, you could start saying, say,
cut it in half.
5.
Basically.
Yeah. And then, so you started saying, okay, you know what, data entry stuff, doing research online, maybe pulling evictions, pulling code enforcement stuff. Yeah. I could have somebody while I sleep do it in the Philippines for $5 an hour. You shoot the little videos on what they need to do, and they go and do it. And because back in the day, I mean, I'm more old school. Everyone tend to do this junk themselves. And then, you have
writing out yellow letters. Or
get
them sent off to a place sometimes. Now.
Yeah. And now it's just like, whether it's, the 4-hour work week, all these guys come in and start talking about efficiency and, and subbing the stuff out. And it's amazing where it's like, okay, you need to figure out, I think it's important to figure out what your highest and best purpose is. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, and what I found is it's maybe just, I like to negotiate. I want to be on the phone with the sellers. I want to work. I don't want to sit there and talk to them the whole time. But I've done.
He can smell motivation.
Yeah,
and so he's on the phone. Oh, he can get off the phone really quick, or he may like sit there and talk to them about everything if he knows he's going to get a deal.
Yeah, exactly. So I partner with someone and he'll do the calling and stuff, and then all of a sudden when he knows they're ready to go, he'll 3-way call me in there, and I'll get him on the horn, and we'll work the deal. And that's my thing. I like to negotiate. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there calling them, following up for 2-3 months at a time. I want to just go in there, go for the kill, and get it done. So. And
you're not really the type to drive by a property that's going to rehab like every day necessarily.
Yeah. No, I mean that's what what's interesting though. Think about this: if something's getting renovated, what's the difference if I'm standing there looking at it? Or I'm standing there looking at somebody. If somebody's taking a picture of what I'd be looking at, it's kind of the same image. I mean, you might miss some stuff, but I got to a certain point where you start taking a zillion of these photos. I could look at a project and I could pretty much estimate just by looking at all the photos. If the roof, the shingles are buckled. Yeah, I mean,
he's been doing that for so long. Now, tell us how you have become more efficient.
Yeah.
Well, some of the same things. I'm very passionate.
That's why I'm laughing, because it's almost like cut from the same cloth.
Brothers from different mothers.
Yeah. So I think that you talk about ROI in different like aspects of your life, right? So you have spiritual, mental, physical,
right?
Your financial.
Social.
How do I get the most ROI out of my time, right?
Yeah.
So identifying what those jobs are that I can get released of first, and I think a lot of people have a hard time releasing those jobs because
Control. And
it's systematic.
Right.
People like checklists, and they like going through.
Yeah.
All right, I just pull this list and I upload it here, and then I, push skip trace, and then I like doing this part, but really, what's most valuable is sales in most businesses is going to be your top value, and people try to outsource that quick.
Yeah.
When really they should probably outsource some of this other stuff. And
I agree.
I'm waiting for the butt.
No, I didn't. No. People try to outsource all the sales, and it's so hard to train a good salesperson to get them right where they need to be. Where you can really, it's easier to outsource more administrative.
Yeah, I agree, because that's all tasks.
Yeah.
But
But
first.
But good,
exactly.
Yeah,
the first, then less. Yeah.
And then you have, I'm a big, subscriber to the good, better, best thing, where you can always, because somebody can do it, but are they going to do it, And
you got to have patience. Like you just hired a new salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's been with you all of how long?
He started 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Officially.
So how does that process go with hiring, onboarding, stuff like that for you, for someone? Because that's a sales position.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's something I know that you're ready to outsource. So,
so just, it's got to be the same way, like when you train a VA, right? You talk about recording videos and making it like cut and dry. Like they need to follow systems. They need to follow checklists. A lot of times when people are coming in, and he's a new or young salesperson, right? So having structure before jumping into somebody that's been W-2 forever, and they come into a 1099 position, right, where they might get a little salary plus commission or just 100% commission.
Mm-hmm.
They need structure, and so I find it important to talk about what their goals are. See, these are in the interview process. Hopefully, you've done this before you hire them, to see if their core values line up with what you want, and then structuring what their week should look like. So what's the ideal work week? And I think I shared a calendar with you a while back.
Yeah.
And so I print off a blank one for them.
Yeah.
Those first 2 weeks.
Have them fill it out.
Oh, nice.
First 2 weeks I said, you know what, here's mine, here's my ideal calendar, but yours probably won't be exactly like mine. It's going to be a little different. And I said, here's the time blocks that I want you to figure out where they work best. I want you driving for dollars 2 hours twice a week, right? So I want this time block to move somewhere.
I love that.
And calling realtors, calling wholesalers, and building relationships. I need this time blocked out for it. But here's the list of people to call. Like, here's a good starting point.
You just hit two things real quick: was goals and time blocking. So, like when I do my coaching, I coach students and stuff too. Before I get into the nitty gritty, the details, this is marketing, this is your list, this is how to negotiate with the seller. The first thing I do is, what's your why? Give me your goals. I want that first. Because they need to define that for themselves first to make sure that they're going to spending their time. It's also going to give them fuel whenever they're getting tired and unmotivated. And then I talk about time blocking, because if you don't time block it, it just gets away. The time just disappears. It never gets done. Procrastinate it,
Well, I think too, if you look at I've never been a W-2, but a lot of times the mentality is you just punch a clock. You just have to physically be there. Whether anything gets done or not, maybe it's another story. And these guys, especially when you're working for yourself, I mean, you eat what you kill. Right. If you don't catch anything, you're going to starve. Okay. And that's where a lot of times I remember starting off in real estate, and I remember going into the office. This is forever ago, and I'm going to be hanging around the water cooler just chit chatting for hours. I'm like, you aren't getting a paycheck, right? I mean, it was insane. They'd go there and just because they felt they had. The one guy would actually show up every day in a suit.
This is at a brokerage.
Yeah, and sit behind a desk,
hoping for
thinking a seller is going to trip and have to use the bathroom, and then on the way to the bathroom, pass by him and want to buy a house. It's like, come on, man,
And they go out and do the revenue sharing.
Yeah, and it's
So real quick, back on the onboarding part. What else do you do?
So then I'll have him. So that time blocking period, I bought tons of different courses, right? I think all of us have kind of put into our self-education.
We've put a lot of time
and money. I'll buy people's courses just because I think that there's.
If I get one
nugget,
yeah, absolutely. 100%.
If I get one nugget from it, it's worth $1,000 that it was for the course, right?
That's 100%.
And so I have picked my favorite one, right? And I say, all right, I want you 2 hours or 1 hour a day to go through these modules, right? I want you to understand the business. I want you to. So I put him through John Martinez's sales training.
Yeah,
right.
One of the best out there.
Yeah, listening to one of his calls and walk through his 12-week program. And then every Wednesday we need to have that. So I kind of help them set that schedule. And then I have a weekly goals, right? So in sales, you have a funnel. You have seller conversations, right, that you need to have,
right,
to setting appointments, to actual appointments, to offers made, to offers accepted, rejected.
There's all these ratios. You're not going to get 10 deals in escrow if you've only talked to 3 sellers,
right?
Unless they own a ton of property.
And
it's just not going to happen.
To relate to that, and there's a lot of people watching this that are trying to get into real estate. They're not doing this yet, or maybe they're starting and they've kind of dabbled some. They don't realize sometimes there's a recipe. If you follow the ratios and the formulas, it will work out. But then sometimes they think, oh, if I make 20 calls, why didn't I get a deal?
Yeah.
I drove by and found 15 houses. How come I haven't got $10,000 yet?
Yeah.
And it's not
a quick, people talk about it being a fast process, right? Yeah. It's not, it
it's a
takes
slow
time.
roast. It's a slow roast.
Well, it's good to have those paychecks, but
yeah,
they don't see it's like Instagram, you see the Instagram and stuff. They don't see everything behind it.
Show me the baby. I don't want to hear about the labor pains.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean,
that's a Davism right there. Yeah. I'll remember that.
That's but
show me the baby. I don't want to hear about the labor pain.
Well, as far as like sourcing deals, I mean, do you have any secret sauces that you'd feel comfortable sharing? Like sometimes people I'm a big direct mail guy, but I'll look, try to peg motivated sellers, whether it's drive for dollars, maybe it's you start getting crossovers like back taxes, code enforcement, or
kind of list stacking.
Yeah. Is that what you call? Okay.
Yeah, stacking different motivations.
Yeah. Is there any?
Yeah, I'll just tell you my setup. Right, it's not. There's no secret sauce, right? So it's what everybody else is.
Hey, listen up really close now.
I mean, there might be one or two.
No, it's a secret sauce, but it is if you're not doing it.
Yeah, consistency.
Yeah,
right?
there you go. Yeah.
So I have one texter. So we buy a bunch of data, we skip trace it, and then I have a texting platform we use Sherpa. And then I have one texter. She texts 1,500 people a day.
Wow. I mean, I don't understand all the tech stuff. I mean, does it go into a thing and it sends it out, or she have to physically do it herself, or how?
Yeah. So we have in the platform that we use, we upload the data, right? Okay. So she has a new list.
Okay.
She has 5,000 people.
Okay.
That she can text, and she can really go through about 300 an hour, and she works
really
5 hours a day.
Wow.
And that's initial text and maintaining conversations with those people that respond.
Interesting.
So
that's important too. It's going back.
And they're just on this list. Are they people that just own real estate that are absentee owner, or I mean?
Yeah, we pull a pretty big list of just high equity absentee owner.
High equity.
A big net at first. Yeah.
Yeah, because we got one to keep her busy.
Yeah.
But then it's just a numbers thing. Right?
Okay.
You just got to get through them. So we don't pull any specialized because you get too far down, at least in that side, in that space. Well,
because you guys can do so much. The reason, and it's smart the way you're doing it, because you have the capabilities of doing the volume. So you need to supply. I mean, you can't just say, hey, here's 20 of this. These are super motivated people, but there's only 20 of them. You say, hey, let's just it's the shotgun approach.
Yeah.
Which is great.
With a little bit of a choke on it, right? Because what we've learned is that all of the houses that we flipped and bought, what did most of them have in common?
Yeah.
And it's high equity absentee owner.
Yeah.
So everything else is just like, okay, there's that piece that we have. Yeah. And we can blanket that and let's.
Well, because you take away this. What I found is, because think about it, if you're buying it from an owner occupant, okay, this person's going to sell lower, and then they're going to have to buy higher. Then we're going to figure out logistically how to get them out of here. The absentee, it's like, hey, they're just cutting loose one thing that they probably don't need, or care about or something.
They thought they got
special.
into be a landlord and
Yeah.
trying to make a lot of money, and
Yeah.
they're fixing ACs and
Yeah.
roofs, and they're having
And there's equity
vacant months with
there's
no
equity
rentals.
to play with too,
Yeah.
and especially where you look at anyone.
Especially now, if they bought it,
absolutely.
they bought it 10 years ago, 5 years
heck,
ago.
even
Yeah.
end of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, anything from 8 on or before 2004. I mean, they have a bunch of equity.
So VA does 1,500 text messages.
Yeah, so she sends 1,500 text messages, and there's a flow to everything, right? So if they say, here's a first response, and we have about 10 initial messages that go out, and she just alternates through them. And we'll change those every quarter just to see what's working best. And so we'll keep the top 3 response ones and kind of go from there. But she individually sends each text message. She clicks and it sends it, clicks send it. And then she'll do 10 and then switch the initial message.
Okay.
So she goes through that and she'll respond. She'll go through her flow chart, which then sends it to us. Our call center, and she's in El Salvador. She speaks Spanish because we're in Phoenix. And so a lot of times she'll turn that conversation to a Spanish conversation. And then we have the same data will go to our call center because a lot of the data we skip will be landlines. You can't text a landline. Or people would rather have a voicemail or a phone call and they won't respond to the text. And so they get hit twice. They'll get hit with our call center as well.
Okay.
They're in Panama. Okay. And so we have 2.
And you speak Spanish, by the way.
I do speak Spanish.
But you don't need to have these VAs in these countries.
No. So for the most part, you could find a Spanish-speaking realtor to help you out if you needed to go there and close it or something like that. Or you could kind of leverage that relationship.
What service are you using, like a Upwork or what?
Yeah. So to find those, they were all through Upwork.
Okay, which used to be Odesk, and then it was Elance, and somehow they went together and became a different name. And
I just know Upwork now.
Okay, but it's Upwork now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Upwork.com. You can interview them and just have a questions that you'd like to go through. I have them all send me a video and just answering those questions, and so I can kind of get a gauge of their personality and kind of trying to pick some core values out of it if you can. Obviously, accent. And,
do they still do the screenshot of when they're doing data entry stuff on it?
Yep.
Okay.
So,
and that's amazing.
Upwork, Upwork does it. So they log in to Upwork and it'll occasionally automatically just take a picture of it.
Which is cool, and they don't know when it's going to snap, because I had one guy and
on
I'm going through. I'm like, okay, what's with all the soccer games? I mean, I had to kick that guy to the curb, but it's cool. It really makes them.
Maybe it was World Cup time.
Guys got to have his standards.
So we do that. Our bread and butter, as I've already kind of talked about, is the auction and the MLS. And so we have.
Actually, I think that's something that sets you apart compared to most wholesalers out here.
Yeah. So everybody does this. This part may be a little bit different than what most people do.
Yeah.
So in the MLS, every property that we flip, we have a perfect avatar in that neighborhood of a 1,300 square foot 3-bed 2-bath house. We bought it for this and sold it for this. We create a farm through the MLS. I have my real estate license. I got it shortly after because we were just handing out commissions.
Yeah.
So I kept that, retained that. And we're held to a higher standard, but honestly, if I'm doing anything that's unethical anyways, I won't be doing it. So, that's the reason I...
And by the way, I have a couple students in California, and it seems like they get more deals from the MLS than they do like tons of RVMs and text messages.
Well, think about this too. If it's in MLS, they probably want to sell.
Right.
I mean, they're a seller, right?
Right.
They've already hit that initial timeline to sell, which is one of the things.
That emotional thing in their head that says, you know what? And then you could even drill down, because in the MLS you can search square footage. You can even do vacant. Like I used to search vacant homes, days on market over 90, or something like that. Or maybe you search it just before it hits 180 days because you figure the average listing here is 6 months and it's about ready to expire. Yeah. So, and I don't like to chase the stuff right out of the chute because it gets a lot of competition. I like the stuff that's been around for a while and the sellers are just getting a little more motivated and desperate to do something. But cool, okay.
Yeah, so we created an avatar basically that says, all right, in this neighborhood, if we buy this at $85, we bought it at $75 a square foot. So anything 1,300 square feet, 3-bed, 2-bath in this neighborhood that's under $85 a square feet, which is just like 110% of what we bought it at.
Okay.
We figure we can offer a little bit lower on that deal. So it alerts us.
Oh, nice.
And says, all right, we have a deal that's under this. So we did that and we created a bunch of those. That's time consuming and takes time. I would recommend doing that on any flip that you have, because you're comfortable buying and flipping somewhere where you've already been and we're profitable.
Okay.
But the shotgun approach that we took on it was that we can search keywords,
Okay.
fix up, need repair, or they're vacant, or
Motivated.
That's
some motivation.
beautiful.
And so we have a separate Gmail
That's a good
account
nugget. Yeah.
set up. It's hometeammls.gmail.com, and we have somebody sign into that every twice a day.
Okay.
And they go through and look at the properties. Some people might put because one of our keywords is as is.
Yeah.
But they might say refrigerator is as is, and everything else is remodeled. Right?
Yeah.
So they go through and they flag the ones that are not, and everything else gets an offer through Podio immediately, and it's a letter of intent.
Oh, Dave likes this. Hold on.
Yeah, so they get an offer,
automated offer.
Nice.
An automated offer based on Zestimate, right?
Okay.
So it says, hey, I represent a large company that is looking to buy fix-ups, and they've identified the properties they'd like to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Their offer price would be this. We don't look to take any commission, even though one of the owners is a licensed real estate agent. You can represent us if you want.
Agents love that. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Also, your stuff's getting pushed to the top there. Yeah, seriously.
You can represent us if you want.
Yeah.
But that's so true though, because I remember I have a broker's license, also, and it's like if you have a choice, between you have multiple people that might be interested in this, you're going to take it to the guys that aren't going to try to poach half your commission.
But something just to point out what Brad just said there. The realtor is now thinking he didn't read the offer. He didn't hear what offer he said. He just said double the paycheck.
You had me a double commission.
He's like, take this
your
offer.
Company or mine.
This guy sounds very legit.
Yes. Then they're rooting for you, and these guys are going to close. Yeah, you just got an offer that was a little bit higher. But
that one little line is huge, though.
Yeah.
I think that people forget that. Hey, realtors are human beings. They need money too.
There you go. Trying to make the dollar.
And I know they're supposed to have fiduciary responsibilities and not sway that way. But hey,
so exactly.
Well, what have you done? Or any suggestions on what can push your offer to the top? And what I mean by that is heavier earnest money, shorter inspection time, waiving or not requiring like the buyer's inspection notice or a punch list of repairs. You know what I'm talking about? So
all negotiation items. So in John Martinez sales training talks about, all right, if I'm gonna give up more offer price, then I'm gonna have to take a little bit somewhere else. And so my offer was not contingent on appraisal. There's a 3-day inspection. Like I'm closing.
And you're looking for like major, hey, this house is sinking, stuff you probably didn't know about, the roof is, so because it will think about this. How many times does that agent know as soon as the offer comes in? That's the heartache's just starting because they know
there's multiple negotiation steps. They're going to they're
going to try to retrade or they're going to give them a punch list of stuff. Think about it. You have people
after they accept the offer, then they have to have an appraisal.
Well, before that,
they have the home inspection.
Exactly, and it's
and then they're going to read through what in Arizona calls the BINSR, which is their
buyer inspection
report.
So you have the appraisal.
Then they go and renegotiate off of their inspection on the house.
There's something about just the quick. Everyone wants to hit the easy button, and they just know that hey, this guy's going to close. He's not going to jack us around. This price is this price, and there's something about the sure thing.
I understand the game, and I want to maximize my profits when I sell too. But I'll take the cash if I have. I've accepted offers that were lower, but I knew it was a for sure deal than waiting around for someone to get FHA approved. And
well, not only that,
they just want a new car
FHA when they're buying through FHA. Anytime a buyer's buying with a loan, it's not like they're coming up with their own concessions. Right. They always want the seller to kick in for that.
Even if they're pre-approved,
but they still want, they want the seller to
come from
kick
the
in
home mortgage world. The mortgage world, there's people that will buy cars a week before they get a house.
Yeah.
Now their DTI is destroyed. They can't
fall out because lenders. Well, sometimes lenders not doing their part, but then also the the borrower is not doing their part.
Yeah. No, I have realtors that their friends know the realtors, and then they end up using someone else, and so they say, well, they invite them to their home warming party. Hey, we're gonna have a home warming party. I know I didn't use you, but I'd love you to come over for my home warming party. Like, oh, you should go out and, you know what, that's great. Thank you so much for inviting me. Go ahead and buy a new car to celebrate.
Yeah, that's what
you haven't closed on it yet? You're closing next week?
Yeah. So you'll So what do you guys usually go? So you have a shortened inspection period. Do you go heavy
Or
on earnest
what
money,
is
or-
it that you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a 5-day inspection usually,
Okay.
so
Which
that
is
we-
half the normal amount, which is great.
Right. So we do half that. Our earnest money doesn't really matter. Earnest money, like, we can put some money, like if it's 10,000, that's fine. We'll put 10,000. Some people don't have that put down. It doesn't really.
Yeah. And sometimes it's interesting. Certain sellers
Don't even care about it.
don't care at all. Like how many times have we tied up properties with, in my standard contract?
100.
Yeah, $100,
But
I never,
but in some
But
on
old
the,
school, but
yeah.
the old school, like especially if it's like an inherited or like an estate thing, you drop in. And like I say, everybody's different,
Yeah.
but
Well, I know like we're doing stuff in Florida, and in Florida they like to see 1%.
Yeah.
That's like the customary.
Yeah, in
Every state's a little
California it's
bit different.
heavier because when I bought
Yeah.
stuff, So okay, so short inspection period, and you'll come in with private money, which is as good as cash.
Yeah.
So because there's no real hangups on it,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So no financing contingencies, no appraisal contingencies. We'll waive the inspection period on some of them to kind of understand the area pretty well.
Okay.
If it's one of those that we have the perfect avatar. If it's the blanket one where there's they select the box that says fix up need repairs on the MLS. The one.
Yeah.
That that's we won't waive the inspection.
So
because
that's
a lot
how
of
you're
times,
sorting these deals out.
as somebody clicking these offers, I don't want a no inspection.
Yeah.
And it's not an offer, right? We're just writing a formal letter of intent. And there's a
love
reason
it.
why the PDF is attached to that, because what are they going to show the seller? What, as an agent, even though it's not an offer, technically, all of them will show it to instead of sending them a text or an email.
So you do letter of intents, not written contracts.
Yeah, because per
I love that.
the what is it, the commissioner, whatever, the stupid realtor standards or whatever it is, they have to present all written offers unless they have a written instruction from the seller,
which most of them don't.
Don't. Yeah. 99.99% don't.
Yeah.
So that attachment is getting in front of sellers.
Yeah, that's smart. That's
and
really
it has
smart.
our branding and it has everything.
Now, are you typically on these deals that you're making offers on MLS? Are you typically closing on those and then wholesaling them, or fix and flipping them, or how many of those do you wholesale out?
Most of them we flip.
Okay, most
So
of them
we follow through with what we're saying and we'll flip it.
Yeah.
I think we did maybe 1 or 2 last year.
Okay.
And sometimes
So,
agents, depending on what it is, where they might choke on the assignee on
Assignee
the
clause.
like more the old school might,
For the most part, though, we get away with putting the assignee on it. Most of them don't want to take that out unless it's a bank.
Yeah,
unless
then
it's
you
a bank,
can
then,
have it
then they
there.
won't. They'll take it out.
Yeah.
So like a short sell,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
we get them right. So we have one right now, under contract in Casa Grande.
The short sale.
A short sell.
Oh, really?
In Casa Grande. Yeah.
I love
it. Same thing, and the agents representing both sides. Yep. Why do you think our offer's getting pushed through?
You
right?
know it. Are you finding what's interesting is because I used to do a bunch back in the day, short sales, but where I was the buyer, not the lister. But are you seeing? Do you know if they're deed restricting that at all? Have you run into that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. For the most, sometimes they do.
And sometimes you just don't know till you. At the very end.
Well, they put a short in the short sell addendum or
Okay.
clause. They have a clause that you can just read through.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it.
Okay,
recently.
good.
In this one that we're doing, we're
Yeah,
not.
some of them would were
Before it was in every single one.
because everyone and maybe tell listeners so they would do what did I just call it? I just
A
remembered.
90-day deed restriction.
Yeah, so a 90-day
Yeah.
deed restriction. So it encumbered you,
Especially government.
it hindered you from
properties.
doing any transfer of. Sometimes I've seen it where it's if the sales price they exceed 120%.
They just want to make.
So yeah,
They don't want you making a lot of money off.
isn't that
of it.
funny?
Yeah.
It's like, listen, I gave you your money. You got what you wanted to get.
Yeah.
Get the heck out of here. What's your problem? Or even 30 days where you could go and fix it up or whatever. But 90 days is crazy. But yeah,
And then the mortgage rule, a lot of times, if it is something like that, or if it's been under that time, underwriting guidelines will make you have 2 appraisals.
oh, the seasoning requirements under 90
For
days.
FHA.
Was it 90 or 180?
90.
Okay.
And then it was 2 appraisals,
91.
and they take the lower of the 2
And that thing stays in the system too, doesn't it? If it's
on
6 months?
FHA.
That's government regulations.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
But you gotta know them, right? When
Yeah.
you're flipping,
Yeah,
when you're
you
flipping
gotta-
under
You
300.
totally do, man. You
Flipping under
totally, yeah, that's
320,000.
yeah.
No, I wanted to just chime in for a second and find out, just because I think one of the things you talk about is private money, because you're basically, this is something we don't understand. In a short elevator pitch, how do you find people that lend you money?
Honestly, it's networking, right? So one of the things I have my acquisition manager, and then it's on my schedule, is to go to networking events, and not just real estate events, right, which we go to.
Yeah.
But I'll go to business networking events where they're entrepreneurs, like a B&I group or anything like that. People that are entrepreneurial minded, but they don't have the time to research investments and move money. People that are moving jobs. So there's money everywhere. You'll start to, as you listen to it and you change your elevator pitch to, all right, I'm listening for cues. I'm listening for beacons to tell me where we're going with this conversation. I just switched jobs, right? I got an old, and I was there for 10 years, right? So I've got an old 401k that's going to be sitting there. I need to roll that over. As a financial advisor, that really helped out, just because that we would listen for those cues, those pain points. Same thing with sellers, right? We listen for these nuggets that they give out that you can use elsewhere. And so I think the big thing is realizing that you have an opportunity for them, and don't feel bad asking for money. Don't feel bad asking for money, because they're not going to get what you can offer. If you're doing it right,
I mean, we're going to put it. I mean, put it in the bank. You're going to make. I don't even know what. I mean, percent, 0.5%, under 1%.
I know someone that was marketing to people that had, what do you call it? The CDs that were expiring.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even a CD, it's going to be under 3%.
Well, probably even lower, way lower than that. But so if you can give them more than 3%, then they're loving you.
Yeah, they hit the stinking lottery.
Right. So you got to be careful. You can't market, like actively solicit investment, right? But to your sphere of influence, people that you know and people that trust you, and you have a substantive relationship, is what they call it. It's okay to talk to them about joint venturing on a real estate deal, where they become a lender versus an investor, and that's kind of the loophole that I use. Is most people are a private lender to us, not a private investor. They're lending on a deed of trust, or they are lending on an unsecured note. That's a short-term note, not a long-term, because that becomes a security.
A different security.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So just understanding
short-term. How long is that?
9 months.
Okay.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool.
Interesting. So you look for when you're dealing with securities, because
your background is
I worry about
what was the license you had? Was it
I had my 67, 63, 65 life insurance.
So let's say I follow you into a BNI networking group, and I'm just kind of like shadowing you. What type of stuff am I going to watch you listen for, or what are you going to watch you say to somebody?
So I talk about kind of having the perfect elevator pitch, right? And so you got to identify what your reason for being there is, because if you go into a network event just to like socialize, that's great. But if you don't have like a purpose for it, like, so what's my target market? All right, my target market is doctors, right? So what are their pain points? What are they feeling right now? And so you develop kind of a perfect elevator pitch to say, in 8 seconds, how can I tell them what I do and still emotionally grab their attention? So I help doctors save money on taxes so that they can have a better retirement, right?
Especially this time of year where everyone's
exactly. So you go into this and you have like, all right, what's on their mind right now? What's killing them? Like 45% of their paychecks.
Oh yeah, especially because you start knowing the dates. Where it's like, all right, they just cut their quarterly estimated payment on such.
Depends who gets elected next time. We may be able to give 90% of our money to tax.
Yeah. So changing my elevator pitch to, I raise money for real estate transactions from I wholesale real estate. I wholesale real estate. That's cool. Everybody's doing that. But if I change that pitch to my mindset is saying that, okay, I raise money for this, people are going to recognize me as a private money guru or whatever it is. And you kind of build that persona, and people will come back to you and they'll ask for one-on-one meetings. Yeah. And that's where I go into bread and butter. But I won't talk about it. But I'll say, we usually are between 8-12%, on average is what we're seeing.
Even if they just hear above market returns, but because everyone in the market's just, I mean, and I think, sometimes where it's just like, sometimes the higher you start throwing even higher, then they almost get skeptical where you start saying 15, 18, where you say, yeah, like I said, 8 to 10 to 2. That's kind of that sweet spot where they know it's attainable, but not too high where it's super risky.
It's a huge difference. So what's crazy is I pitched that higher percentage before.
Yeah.
And people would say, no, I don't want to do that.
What's the catch?
Yeah, exactly. What's the catch? And I was like, I just want to make you a better return.
They're thinking Bernie Madoff and everything else,
When I moved that down to more realistic, attainable numbers,
high single digits.
The same person, the same exact presentation, just changed that point of it. That's when people started saying, okay, this is realistic.
Because it's uncomprehendable to them. I mean, they're just used to high single digits.
Just far enough out of
that 8 to 10,
They go too high and they're saying,
above 12, it's got to be some
that's an important point, though.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that. So
what are people taught their whole life? If it's
too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah.
But us, it's like, it's just another day in real estate, man. If I thought every deal I bought was too good to be true, I wouldn't have bought any deals,
So what's cool is you can go raise you can have a lot of private lenders ready to go, right? And money to go. So how much confidence do they give you when you're making offers?
Oh, I mean, tons. Enough to send LOIs out 17 times a week. And
it's the same as cash. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, and that's the thing is when you have private money behind you,
it feels good.
Oh, yeah. You don't have to dance for any lenders because, I mean, you're pretty much controlling
I always tell my students, too, is a lot of times because they're just trying to get a deal. They're just trying to get a deal, right? So they know the formulas. They know what they're supposed to be offering, but they will go higher because they just want a deal so bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you got to be a reluctant buyer. You got to be a reluctant buyer. So if you have this, you're really looking, hey, I want to get the best deal. Because even though you have money behind you, you're still finite. There's still a certain amount that you can only invest at one time. So you're really trying to maximize those profits. Mm-hmm. But you have a lot of confidence going into making offers.
Yeah, I think that's true. A lot of people struggle with, they get a lot of no's, right? A lot of no's. Then they finally get somebody that say yes, and then you have a hard time saying no to that deal.
Yeah.
The guy that started 2 weeks ago for us, I told you did the same thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I just wanted to get a deal. I locked it up at 80%. And I'm like, oh.
And they had the mentality, any deal is a good deal. No, it's not. I mean, we need to make money on this thing,
Yeah, we have the mindset of, all right, the further away it is from a major metropolitan area, the lower that percentage goes down. So, it might be 80%. I can pay 80% here in Gilbert.
Yeah.
But if I go out to Casa Grande or I go out to Arizona City,
it's a different
I got to be 75, 74%. So the further you get away from these major markets.
No, I agree.
You got to have space in it to send contractors out there.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us, so you told us the scary gun story with, a nightmare deal, but you still made money off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And you told us what it's like to be like a fly on the wall following you and being in networking events and, to get an introduction and then you go and meet with them and pitch them on the private money. Tell me about a home run deal that you had or a triple or something that would be like, if I can have that every month, jeez.
We'd be having this conversation on our yacht.
Yeah. I didn't tell you what I made on that Scottsdale one. Remember I told you the 380 one that I sold?
Oh yeah.
I made $5,000 off that deal. Over $400,000. Just
$400.
A learning experience.
And that was the first one, right? Was that the first one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So best.
But the first rule of investing, don't lose money.
Yeah. Hey, if you made money, if you're in the black, not the red, man.
That's right.
It's a win.
That's right. It was a learning experience. A seminar, right? So
yeah.
That's right. I learned from there. All right. So home run deal last year. Last year there was a 6-plex, and it was a wholesale deal.
Okay.
It came from texting.
In town here?
Yep. It was in Apache Junction.
Okay, the Junction.
And it was a 6-plex. Yeah, there was a 6-plex. There was 2 units, 2 triplex side by side on 2 different parcels. So residential.
Yeah, which is good.
Which is great, And so.
And why? So, the importance of that is if you're 4 and under per lot, you can get residential financing, not commercial financing, which just is a lot easier and cheaper. Okay.
So we locked that up under contract and then put it out on wholesale and it sold and we made $60,000. I mean, because it was both sides, right? 2 different lots.
Oh my goodness. Because you can sell that stuff for pretty close, because a lot of times with the apartments, they know there's going to be some wear and tear.
Well, it's landlords buying. Yeah. People that want to buy a cash flow property.
You come cheaper than if it was just a hair under the MLS. I mean, it's a smoking deal.
They don't need the fix and flip percentage of ARV.
Yeah.
Like, landlords can buy at a higher price.
Wow,
So
Exactly. And that's kind of the target that we went for, was more that smaller multifamily stuff, single family. It's still considered residential because of that.
Was there a local or a California guy buy it?
It was local.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know, because there's a lot of California.
Yeah, a lot of California money.
But they want to stay close. Like Apache Junction, they don't know. They see that name
like
and
Mesa,
it's just,
Tempe. Yeah.
it's Phoenix area, right?
Yeah.
for us, it's still So for somebody local, they understand. All right, AJ's not that far from Mesa.
Yeah.
And
you get a little cheaper than Mesa, but the rents are close enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
a couple of things I want to ask you. Tell me one golden nugget that someone shared from you from
let's
a
talk
mastermind.
About apartments too.
Yeah. So mastermind, that like you go to a lot of masterminds and do a lot of training, stuff like that. What's something that you've taken away that's helped you from these?
The biggest thing is focus, right? And not getting distracted with, there's so many different, even though real estate in general is like one thing, but there's
so many rabbit holes.
So many rabbit holes.
Yeah, different types, different asset classes, different locations, different strategies.
So maintaining focus and having clarity of what your vision is, like where you want to go, and don't lose track of that vision is the biggest thing.
Because you've kind of, like the game Monopoly, 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel.
Yeah.
So you're kind of coming full circle now.
You get to graduate
eventually.
Right?
Yeah,
put on a different hat.
Because one of the things you're
went up in the air and say,
and you're starting to move into that. That's your goal for this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's more multifamily and doing multifamily stuff. Why multifamily over single family?
Yeah, so I mean, you learn a ton, and there's a lot of stuff that I can't leave that active income that is in the single family space. It's a lot of active income, and I don't necessarily want to, like, my goal for real estate.
You kind of just get one in a little more while you
like a teeter-totter or balancing the scales.
Kind of phase that out a little bit, and so our flipping is very active. Wholesaling is very active. It's a very active income. My goal and vision is to spend more time with my family, and real estate can get me there, and I knew that. I originally thought that it might be through picking up subject to single family or just rentals in general. But when I look at, all right, what's that going to do to my mental bandwidth? Over time, being a landlord for just one unit is not going to be worth.
Or you don't want 20 houses scattered all over. You have the centralization of managements and resources, and
so if I can get 200 doors in one location versus 20 doors all over the country, and they do a lot better in any type of recession. Like multifamily, didn't take as big of a hit.
It's just like all the guys that own shopping centers, office, building all this junk on spec last go around got pounded. But when everything's said and done, everyone needs a
place to live. Everyone needs a place to live.
And if you've got something that's within the means of, like, your $700 to $1,100 in monthly rent, which is a
affordable.
Affordable
and if you start like,
that's the biggest thing is Dave and I went to a multifamily mastermind. Was it last year?
Was it over in
LA?
Yeah,
Santa Monica and stuff. So one of the things that was really big is I felt like it was just hammering into us was affordable housing. So now when you're saying multifamily, that's what I'm thinking as well. That's where the affordable housing is.
Right.
A lot of these people are working regular jobs, regular people. Even if they got a college degree, they're not making like 6 figures out of the gate, and then so for them to go buy a $500,000 house is not very realistic, but they can afford rent at $700-800 a month, $900 a month.
Well, and this is what's interesting too, is like with apartments and income property, what's the value based on?
Occupancy and
income.
Rent.
Occupancy, which equals the income. So if everyone, with houses, you can increase the value by fixing it up, but with apartments and income proof property, you fix it up, increase the income, which increases the value. And you can even have a multiplier of almost like,
it's exponential.
10, 15 times. If you get every dollar you increase that rent a month, will increase it by $12 annually. And then you even take times that by only 10, which is going to be a lot more because it's higher returns. but you're going to increase the value by 10 times every dollar you increase it annually.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not only that too, right? We're the efficiency kings, right? So you talk about
absolutely.
You're talking about the net operating income. So I can increase the rents, but what if I can't increase rent? What I can look at what their expenses could be and
contract services.
I can reduce the energy that's used in those.
See, that's the thing where I think both of you guys are like you guys can solve a lot of these problems. You guys are thinkers like that, where maybe the rent, maybe you already hit the ceiling on the rent.
Yeah.
But now you're thinking what you're bringing up is a really good point about multifamily is now how do I make it more profitable? If I can't increase the rent, how can I still become more?
I was even listening to some guys that do mobile home parks, and they're looking at the financials on this one park they're buying, and they looked at one of the they were paying a full-time salary and a maintenance guy on site in this mobile home park, which was, I would think they're paying like $100,000 a year, something just ridiculous. And they were able just to cut that out because they just said, hey, you know what, you're not getting free this, and maybe instead of 100, they got it down to maybe free lot rent plus $20,000 base, but they cut it down, 80, maybe excluding
it's all about
7,
making that profit, right?
Increased it by a ton.
There was I went to this multifamily meetup, and there was a sales rep from a toilet company. Her brand was Potty Princess, right? And so it was just energy efficient, or just less water usage. That they would put into your apartments to bring them down, and so she was there selling like Potty Princess stuff. Just
you could save. Think about it.
Money
everyone thinks. Heck, a lot of units could have multiple toilets, and then you take a zillion units, and it's absolutely incredible how you can just cut that cost.
So, we're running out of time, but I wanted to ask you too, because we're really big on self-education and improving ourselves like that. What are some things that you've done, or what books have you read, or what things have you sought out that's really helped you over the last couple of years?
So Mastermind is great, right? And so just networking and understanding where people's visions are at and how can I align myself and be a value to them, it really kind of has opened up doors to, growing on this, and, graduating from that single family, going to the multifamily side of it.
4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel.
Yeah. Or there was a game.
1 red apartment.
So, books. There's so many. This year I did a challenge to my nieces and nephews. We have a big family, and they all live here in this valley. For 2020, I picked my top 20 books, and a lot of them are small books. And I said, read a book from this list. Call me and talk to me about your big takeaways, and I'll give you $20.
Nice.
So 20 bucks, $20.
Oh, man.
20.
And I have 30 nieces and nephews, so it's a little investment if they all do it all. But there's awesome. A list. There's a slew of books. I've got Rhinoceros Success. I love that one. I've got Go for No, Go Giver. Is in there.
Brenda's got good.
The One Thing. Maintaining your focus.
Jerry Keller.
High Performance Habits by
Brandon Burchard.
Great book.
Yeah. I have a lot of these on my Audible right now.
Yeah.
Think and Grow Rich.
That's a good one.
It's a good one to reread a lot of times.
Yeah. The Richest Man in Babylon.
Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah. So I go through those. And anyways, I listed a couple of those, and then I have some that are younger, and so there's also like elementary or preschool type.
Have you read The Alchemist?
Yeah.
No.
That's a good one for kids.
Yeah. Have you heard of? I got my kids. Have you ever heard of the Tuttle Twins, the book series? It's the little books, but talking about capitalism and other stuff.
You got to indoctrinate them now.
Yeah, it's like this is.
I think it's cute. Like I said, I like educate, but like the youth of even our society just need a little bit a better push to financial literacy.
Well, absolutely, because if not, we're relying on the school system, and which, and bless their heart, but it's.
Well, that's one of the things that one of the initiatives I'm trying to push and trying to get people be aware of and try to figure out ways to help. My son, he did his Eagle Scout project. His son finished his Eagle Scout project last year too.
Yeah, nice.
So we got 2 Eagles in the family. So, but my son did Helen's Hope Chest, which is helping out foster kids with clothing and stuff like that. But what's interesting, this was like heartbreak. Like, it broke my heart to hear about this. Was these kids, when they turn 18, they're basically kicked out of the system, right?
Yeah.
Unless they're still in school. And most of them have never had a checking account. Most of them don't know how to balance a checkbook because they don't have checking accounts. They don't know how to save. They don't know how to like delay gratification for certain things. And there's a whole financial literacy thing that if they understood, and we can help not only, I guess, in foster care, but
even in the schools,
and our regular.
Well, they don't teach the practical application of knowing a lot of the stuff that you need the stuff. I mean, I tell you what, I haven't used calculus lately, but I've sure used consumer math. You know, and so there's a lot of lacking. We should talk later about trying to set up something.
Yeah, hit us up on Facebook and social media if you guys want to help get involved on the movement here. But
yeah, absolutely.
Now, if someone wants to reach out to you, Brad, how would they get in contact with you?
Good email address?
So Instagram, Brad Mortensen, just my name.
People can bug you and say, yeah, I want to loan you some money.
That's right. Hit me up. And then brad@hometeaminvestors.com. So
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Brad, I've known Brad for several years. He's definitely one of the guys I would follow on social media. He's doing wholesale deals. He's doing fix and flip deals. But he has, most importantly, I think he has the right brain, the right heart for this business. The right stuff, yeah. I want to be surrounded by people that have those values because it's so important. Like I just feel like there's a whole disconnect between what we're showing on social media to what's real life. And the fact that we sit down and we talk about, I want to spend more time with my family. I'm carving out time, 20 hours a week to do coaching, volunteer work. You know, that's those type of individuals are hard to find sometimes that are still producing at a high level. You know, so thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Good. All right.